Hello, everyone. My name's Encore, and this is your daily reminder that tomorrow never comes, meaning our tomorrow, yours and mine, is not guaranteed. So let's not put things off that we should be doing today into some unknown, distant future, which may never happen. With that being said, right now, what I think, from my point of view, what needs to be educated on, what you need to dive into, is the crypto space, and that's what I'm kind of here to do, just to shed some light on the space. For those of you who may be new, it's something that definitely needs to be explored. It's something that can shape your future, your financial future, and so I think it's too big of an opportunity to ignore and to dismiss. With that, having said that, nothing I say is financial advice. It's just strictly my opinion and how I feel about the space. So getting into the content now. All right, the last video I did was something a little bit different, a little bit more passion for me, was how crypto and the sports industry kind of intersect. And today, for those of you who are well aware of the financial space, you know the players in the space, you know the institutions in the space, and even if you're not heavily in the financial industry, some of these names I'm going to mention are pretty heavy players that you may or may not have heard of. Pretty good chance you have. And I just wanted to kind of take it back to the traditional finance. Like, what is it that traditional finance or TradeFi or CFI, centralized finance individuals or institutions, what are they doing? Because you got to remember, you want to make sure you follow what they do, not necessarily what they say. In this regard, today I'm going to show you some of the things they say that they have said matches what they do. Okay, and so that's always the key, is follow what they do more than what they say. A lot of these guys, the big institutions, the big financial individuals who may be leading these institutions, they always have a narrative to play, and they might be saying something publicly to you while they do something behind closed doors completely different. And a lot of times they will purposely drive the price down on the things that they actually want to purchase, and so they can get it on the cheap and then ride it all the way up. All right, so we're going to get into this now, and I'm going to move myself over here. Let's move over here and make myself a little smaller. Good. All right, so I'm pretty sure you guys are familiar with Tim Cook. Who is Tim Cook? He is the CEO of Apple. You know, we all love Apple. I'm a new convert to Apple with my iMac. The headaches of the transition are real, but well worth it. So if we get in here into the article, and it says that he personally owns cryptocurrency. Now, if you guys look here, I'm going to start here at the date of November 9th of 2021. This was pretty big news when it first aired. He did a live interview, and he mentioned in that interview that he does own some cryptocurrency. And so here they asked him, you know, if he owns Bitcoin or Ethereum, and he says, I do. I think it's reasonable to own it as a part of a diversified portfolio. And he says, of course, what every YouTuber also says, which is, I'm not giving anyone investment advice. But he's been interested for a while, and you know, he thinks you definitely should allocate a certain portion, or at least he is, and advising anyone who would ask him, that you invest a little bit, whatever a little bit means to you, into the space, so that it's a viable asset class. And here's one big example. This is somebody who's very familiar with the financial world, very seasoned, very knowledgeable, and even he's telling you that a certain portion of his personal finances are in cryptocurrencies, namely Bitcoin and Ethereum. So moving on to the next one. So most of you may have heard of Ray Dalio. He's a billionaire, right? Very, very famous billionaire. Great content of his own. His book Principles as well. Very great book. But if you look at him, he's like, Bitcoin is like a younger generation's alternative to gold and has merit. Now, this same individual was someone who was not for Bitcoin initially. And he's kind of done a 180 on it and has allocated some of his funds as well into Bitcoin. And what he touches on here is so brilliant, because you guys got to understand that everyone's focused on price, and rightfully so. That's a big part of the game. But the fundamentals that the price is built on is what's most important. That's what's going to give you the long-term staying power, the long-term value for that asset is built on fundamentals, not just price action. Okay, so here's what he's saying. It has been an amazing accomplishment for Bitcoin to have achieved what it has done, from writing that program, not being hacked, having it work, and having it adopted the way that it's been. So that's something everyone needs to understand. We've all seen where banks have been hacked, companies have been hacked. Something that is this valuable has never been hacked. That's you guys need to think about that for a second. That is an outstanding that's an outstanding tribute to Bitcoin and the software behind Bitcoin. And he says, I believe in the blockchain technology. There's going to be that revolution, so it has earned credibility. Okay, and then he says he recommends that he reconfirmed that he owns a little bit. Mind you, for a billionaire to say a little bit is probably quite a substantial amount, but for him, it's a little bit. And he's saying he's calling it a younger generation's alternative to gold. Okay, so again, another heavy player that has decided to put his hat in the ring and ride the wave as we see it. So this was December 7th of 2021. All right. So now we're going to get into 2022 of January. And this one was a very, very big deal. Okay. So this one, I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with, but here's another billionaire. His name is Bill Miller. And he had an interview and he came out and he said that he has 50% of his personal wealth in Bitcoin. So this is not a little bit. This is not the standard 2 to 5%, which most would advise. He has catapulted all of those numbers and has put 50% of his personal wealth into Bitcoin. Again, remember, billionaire, investor, very seasoned, very financially savvy, and he's allocated 50% of his own portfolio into Bitcoin. All right, so this was quite a shocker when he did say it. He went on to back things about Bitcoin of why, it's best thought of as digital gold. It has a limited supply, and that he's only recently allowed himself to be called a Bitcoin bull rather than just an observer. So he went from being a guy on the sidelines watching it to studying it, learning about it, and jumping in as a bull. Very, very big statement for Bitcoin and for Bill Miller. And then we're going to jump over to the next one. I'm sure all of you know who Kevin OLeary, Mr. Wonderful, is. He's made many comments in the past about previously that Bitcoin wasn't, it wasn't a viable asset, and things started to slowly change for him, where he became more into Bitcoin, and now he's kind of jumped on to NFTs, and he thinks this year will be much bigger for NFTs. And he's actually more involved in the actual Bitcoin mining part of it, so the production of Bitcoin. But I want to kind of highlight this for you guys because, again, it touches on fundamentals. All right, not price point, but this is why Bitcoin is such an amazing software or asset. Okay, so he's like, if you invest in Microsoft and Google and Amazon, what is the core that you're investing in? So again, we need to kind of think about that. These are the biggest of the technology public companies out there, right? What do they do? Are we investing in the company? Yeah, we are. But what's the company's core technology, right? They leverage their technology to create value for customers. So in the end of the game, they are a software company. And so he goes on to say, it's basically software, which is what I mentioned. And he's like, well, Bitcoin is not a coin. It's actually software. The blockchain is software. Ethereum, HBAR, Polygon. Now, if you haven't heard of these are other crypto assets in the space. And he goes on to mention that these are all software. He's like, so the real decision is if you're willing to invest in software because it's a productivity tool. It provides a service, particularly in payment systems, that is being used globally. So again, wrap your heads around, this is not just a currency play. This is a software play. This is a value play from that very software. And Mr. Wonderful really outlines it perfectly. And then we're going to jump over to the next one here, who is Mark Cuban. Now, Mark Cuban's he's been pretty vocal about his support of cryptocurrency, Dogecoin and Ethereum and all of that he's mentioned before. But he went on to say that 80% of his investments that aren't on Shark Tank are crypto related. So we went from 2 to 5%, which is what generally has been kind of thrown out there, what to allocate in your portfolio, to Bill Miller saying 50% of his portfolio, to now Mark Cuban saying 80% of his investments that are non-Shark Tank related. Now, what is that in terms of his overall portfolio? That remains to be seen. But still, 80% of his non-Shark Tank related investments are crypto related. So a very, very big statement as well from him. He's very heavy in the space. He's very knowledgeable in the space, and he's continued his learning curve throughout. Again, billionaire, Dallas Maverick owner, right? For the Dallas Mavericks is the NBA team. For those of you who don't know, very, very well versed in the financial space, very well versed in the entrepreneurial space. And so for someone of his stature to come, all into the crypto space is quite a big statement. So those are some of the individual, big players in the financial world, players you probably have heard of, and hopefully got a better understanding of where their heads at in terms of the crypto space. I want to kind of change gears and go into two very big companies that have made headway in the crypto space. So one, which both of these companies have made recent news flashes, and the first one being Intel. Now we know Intel is a chip manufacturer, right? And so they create chips for all these computers, and this is why the gaming world and everything's become such a hot area of production and innovation, and minus all the supply shock that's happened recently in the last year and a half. Their whole thing was how do we make processes faster and faster, right? And so it's more from a gaming aspect, but now they're actually entering the Bitcoin mining space, right? They're creating a specific chip designed for Bitcoin mining. Right? We can get into the nitty gritty of all it is once you guys read, these articles for yourselves. But tech aside, again, we got to look at the big picture. Intel, this is a legacy-based company. It's been around forever. Very profitable, great revenues anyway, and you have to ask yourself again, why is it entering the Bitcoin mining space? Why is it entering the crypto space, period? Why would it come out and publicly say this and create such a splash? We have to think about these things. So I mentioned the individuals beforehand. Okay, you could say that's different, right? That's their personal choice. But this is a public company who's now decided to directly enter the crypto space and specifically the Bitcoin mining space. So that's a very big statement that was made by Intel. And then lastly, we all know Google, right? We're all familiar with Google and what it does and how it functions. But they've actually just recently, as of today, I believe, come out with a statement saying that, Google Cards will eventually store Bitcoin and allow crypto transactions. So now they go on to say crypto is something we pay a lot of attention to, which was a statement made by Bill Reddy, which is Google's president of commerce. And he's like, as user demand and merchant demand evolves, we'll evolve with it. So this isn't a one-time deal. This isn't a one-time, it's hot right now, so let's kind of tie ourselves to Bitcoin or to the crypto markets. First of all, Google doesn't have to tie themselves to anybody. They do a pretty good job on their own. But the fact that they're saying they are going to evolve with the market. So as crypto evolves, they will continue to seek out partnerships and products and services that'll cater to the crypto markets. They're not trying to be a bank, but they want to become a connective tissue for the entire consumer finance industry. So for anyone in the science industries or science backgrounds, connective tissue, we all know, is very, very important for kind of keeping everything meshed together, right? It's kind of like a spider web, and it's kind of interconnected throughout the body. So the fact that Google wants to be that for the entire consumer finance industry, that's fine, right? We all know they have their hands in everything, but they want to do that through the crypto space. They know crypto is here to stay. They know crypto will be a part of every industry if it already isn't, and they kind of want to be where they are today, which is have their hands in everything and kind of be the spider web for everybody, right? With touch points in all industries through crypto. So there you guys go. You know, like again, you guys need to understand this isn't a localized issue or experience. This isn't, you know, a bunch of tech, for lack of a better word, nerds who are jumping into this and saying, "Oh my God, this is amazing. We need to jump into it." That has happened. Those are the early adopters. We're still in the early phases. They're the extreme early adopters, and it's not just, you know, a handful of people here or a handful of people there. These are, as I've shown you before, these are athletes, these are CEOs, these are major tech industry, tech public companies that we all know. And so we need to understand that crypto is here to stay. Crypto will be a part of every industry in some form or fashion, right? Whether it's the underlying technology, it's the tokens, however it's going to happen, it will happen and is currently in the process of happening. So again, food for thought, guys. Hope this kind of helps you out. You know, feel free to take a look at the articles and kind of read through. Always do your own research. All right. I try and pick out articles from, you know, not crypto heavy magazines or online printings, because it's very easy to say that, you know, that's crypto bias. So you can see here, Yahoo Finance, CNBC, all these major platforms are sharing this news because it's important and also because it's happening, whether they like it or not. So I encourage all of you, do your own research, jump in the game, at least start educating yourselves, and really see how this can change your life, and those around you. All right. Hope you guys found some value in this content, and I hope to see you guys again in the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.